Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Ypsilanti Township Graft special here on What's Left. I'm Alex Thomas, and I'm expecting my co-host shortly, but before she arrives, we'll just get right down to it. My name is Alex Thomas. I'm a West Willow community advocate here in Ypsilanti Township. A couple of weeks ago, I did a post in front of the McLean and Winters law firm. That's a law firm that's been closely associated with Ypsilanti Township for many years. One of the partners, Doug Winters, is the township attorney of record, and he attends each board of trustee meetings as the township attorney should. But as a community advocate over the past years, I've always heard his name mentioned in policy discussions and setting strategy and vetoing other trustees. Just what I thought was just incredible overreach. And in talking with other people around Ypsilanti Township government, longtime residents, longtime business owners, there's been this narrative that McLean and Winters are bad actors, that they have undue influence on township government, specifically Doug Winters, and in the relationship with Brenda Stumbo, the longtime township supervisor. That overreach manifests itself in incredible amounts of money going to McLean and Winters. The post that I did in front of McLean and Winters law firm, I asked people to send information because I was tired of hearing this story about how much money was coming out of Ypsilanti Township government, but not being able to prove anything. Out of that post, someone did a Freedom of Information Act to Ypsilanti Township, and in the Freedom of Information Act requested how much money goes to McLean and Winters and is accounted for under legal services. And I think that the description was so specific that it enabled the township not to fully disclose how much. But what they did is they said that McLean and Winters was getting $289,000, approximately that much. The specific amount is posted on my page. They said that it's getting $289,000. I posted that, and then I got several messages on social media saying that figure was too low. What's Left received a mysterious envelope with evidence and material and information that outlined how much actual money was going to McLean and Winters. And it detailed that $1.6 million went to McLean and Winters in 2020 during COVID. And that $1.6 million was broken down into about $289,000 in legal services. But in nuisance abatement and ordinance enforcement and other categories that are outlined, there's an extra $1.3 million. $1.3 million. And I say Ypsilanti Township graft because graft is exploiting one's position for personal gain. It can be legal, it can be illegal. I'm not an attorney. I don't know which one, but I just know it's bad. It's horrible, it's awful, and disgusting when you think about the need and how terrible some of the conditions are in Ypsilanti Township. What an awful year 2020 was. And this firm was exploiting that opportunity as it has been for the past few years. I am going to see if my co-host can join me. No, not quite yet. But again, so the issue of McLean and Winters not taking too much money out of the township. During any time over the past few, 20, 30 years, I am really frustrated in that so many people that I've spoken to say they're not surprised. The frustrating thing is that they don't want to do anything. it's like we're a traumatized community that just wants to accept what these bad actors, what this abuser, this community batterer has done, and we're just accepting it. But I'm not, and a lot of other people aren't. And if you do not want to accept and allow this to go on, please join me and others and send an email to Greener Y Town. And I'm going to put that exact address in the chat. And this is my first time doing a Facebook Live, so please bear with me. But if you want to stop the clown show in Ypsilanti Township government, join myself and others. And I, again, appreciate you bearing with me when I get the exact, it's a group of environmentally conscious, green conscious Ypsilanti Township residents, some people on the west side with some resources. Think of Ann Arbor money directed by Ypsilanti Township people, but Greener Y Town. And we're going to first put an end to this exploitation by McLean and Winters. Those people that I say that are so accepting of this exploitation and say, oh, we knew that already. We got to get them in and give them an opportunity to try to help and put an end to this. And, you know, the key thing, the key issue, I think, is, you know, if a fox is stealing chickens from the hen house, I'm not interested in how many he did in the past. I don't want him to get any more. I want to make sure we end the relationship of McLean and Winters with Ypsilanti Township, and we stop the sapping of resources. They've already in for $800,000 this year. So when I get my email up, and my co-host is getting ready to help me, you'll be able to see how to get in contact with other like-minded and very concerned Ypsilanti Township residents, and how we're going to end the sapping of resources by McLean and Winters from Ypsilanti Township. And then what I really I'm excited when my co-host joins in talking about is the American Rescue Plan and addressing all the issues that should have been addressed over the years with that money that was sapped out of the township. Good morning, Ms. Simmons. Hey, you're muted.
Hey, good morning. I know I was trying to get on the wrong Zoom link. Sorry.
Hey, it's okay. I know you're coming. I know you're going to be here. You know, I just outlined the first 6 minutes about you know, what brought us here, the McLean and Winters issue. I wanted to put that out there at front, but you know, I wanted to keep us to just like about 10:30 today and get in. You know, I was just transitioning to like, if you know, if Fox been stealing chickens out of the hen house, I'm not interested in counting how much in the past. I want to stop them now. You know, and also you know, dropping the metaphor, make sure that, you know, 1.3 million doesn't continue to go, and we get it to the right places and start getting some real honest governance in Ypsi Township, because we have some serious issues. But I'm going to be quiet and you know, give your thoughts. And I got to dig. I want to make sure I give the right email to put into the comments before I tell everybody to join. But yeah, what do you think of this morning?
Well, there's a couple of things I'm thinking about, but I think, you know, in terms of just watching the money, you know, especially as you were saying, the American Rescue Plan dollars coming in, you know, one thing that seemed, you know, I know you had posted this article from a couple of years ago about the Justice Department, Fair Housing Center, you know, investigating, right, putting out complaints to the township. And, you know, for me, it's like, it just feels like it's part of a same narrative. And, you know, for folks who are low income, folks who are Black and brown and in the township, that it feels like they're saying, we don't want you here in all the ways that they can, and that they're willing to put a lot of money resources behind that. And so, one thing that I wanted to talk about for sure is just the upcoming election that ends on August 3rd. And, just a little bit of information about that, because these are the kind of things where the community can exert their voice, right? And to push back against the leadership that's not supporting you. So the Ypsilanti Township will have 4 millages, right, on the election. So just a couple of things. There's one that's for fire protection, prevention, and rescue services. That's estimated to generate revenue of $4,625,000. Wait, did I even read? Yeah, $625,417 in the first year. There's one for police protection, which is expected to generate an estimated revenue of $8,436,761 in the first year. The recreation, bike path, sidewalk, roads, park operations fund is expected to generate an estimated revenue of $1,488,866 in the first year. And then the last millage is for garbage, refuse collection, recycling, composting, disposal of waste, solid waste, energy conservation, alternative energy, water quality, and environmental protection. Woo, that's a lot of things. And that's still only $359,721. So by far, the police protection is the largest of those millages. And, I know in our last live stream, you gave your voting endorsement for all the millages besides the police protection millage. And I just want to share too, just thinking about like, what will it take, right? Pittsfield Township owned a millage for police in May. And now Pittsfield Township is bringing that back, as we talked about. But for the township, and I'm hoping that you can give us some information, Alex, because I was looking at the election, how many people will it take, right, to make a difference in this election? The 2020 primary election results so this is for the primary, Precinct 1. So I want to talk about Precinct 1 and Precinct 14. So Precinct 1 has the lowest voter turnout percentage, and it was about 22.83%. And Precinct 14 has the highest voter turnout percentage, and that was 41.92. So now we know that was a big presidential so turnout was high.
Was that the March? This is the March primary, excuse me, or
this
March
is this is for August.
Okay.
Oh, so yeah. But
August. Those are great numbers, though. Well, not great.
But yeah, not great. But those are the highest historically, in the past few years, because really what it typically is, and it's still Precinct 1 is being the lowest, Precinct 14 being the highest. Looking back at 2019, Precinct 1 had 4.77%, and Precinct 14 had 11.55%. So we think about those numbers, right? You think about, so I'm trying to think, if you can give some information about Precinct 1 and Precinct 14, but it's like if people turn out, then there's really an opportunity to the township know, no housing, no police, right? No cannabis, no police.
That's where I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I'm thinking I'm such a nerd. I'm getting all excited when you guys talking about Ypsi Township, Precinct 1, Precinct 4. Nobody asked about that. Nobody. I can't speak specifically to those individual precincts, but you're really onto something as far as the opportunity in Ypsilanti Township. The reason that I asked about, the presidential or August, because last year we had a presidential primary in March And there were 11,000 people that voted in the Democratic primary, presidential primary in March. Bernie Sanders won the presidential primary in Ypsilanti Township terms. You know, the 19 precincts in Ypsilanti Township, and that was about 7,000 people that came out and made sure or sent in their ballots, and they voted in the March primary. So it shows that they're on the map in Ypsi Township and in it. That was about 7,000 voted for Bernie Sanders, about 5,000 voted for Biden. But those numbers, I'm sure, are exact. What you just gave for like precinct 1 and 14 and 5, and there's this huge drop off in August, and then it bumps back up in November. So, there's people that are conscious of politics and these issues, but on a national level, but they don't see like what you illustrated in them talking about the millage, how these issues are played out exactly right here. I gave that endorsement of those other millage proposals, and I should have qualified in it. It's because I don't want to add more disarray in township government outside of police. But I'm sure there's probably a valid argument to vote against all of them. But just in the amount of time that I've been able to pay attention and speak to people, it's like, oh, just hell no, not police. Let's stop McLean and Winters from sapping 1.6 million out of the township each year. And then
maybe that's a good way to get some of those funds, right?
Yeah.
It's like, actually, you can fill that hole. I just want to give some quick information just for folks, because we might be talking to folks who aren't yet registered. Yes. Or registered, but weren't even thinking about this election, right? Because it goes under the radar. Yes. And so you still have a chance.
Can people vote now, Desiree? Can people vote now in August?
So registered voters, you can vote early with an absentee ballot at your clerk's office through Monday, August 2nd. And at your polling place, election day is August 3rd.
If you're registered to vote, I'm sorry, if I'm registered to vote, I can just go down to 7200 here on River Drive already and just go vote there in person. Yep. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you could do and I'm sure a lot of other clerk's office. Yeah, you could just go to your clerk's office. You can also, there's drop boxes both at the Civic Center as well as at the Ford Boulevard Fire Station. And you could also, if you haven't registered yet, you can still go in one trip. You could just go to your clerk's office until 8 p.m. on election day, and you can register and vote at the clerk's office. And so you still have an opportunity just to show up on election day and swing this election.
Absolutely. And it's part of that historically low engagement. It's what you pointed out, incredible opportunity in that. And just now, I mean, what I want to shed in the light on McLean and Winters sapping that money out because it's so ridiculous. It gets people's attention and shows exactly, the nature of and culture of Ypsi Township government toward the vulnerable populations in it. And that's why, we can affect it. We have to. It's through this election, letting them know. I say no on police, and you make your own decisions on the others. But we have to direct these American Rescue Plan funds. There's 9.4 million specifically granted for Ypsilanti Township. I know Ypsilanti Township has received half of it. It's in an interest-bearing account. There's no talk about what area to put it in. It's specifically marked for the areas most impacted by COVID. And I want to hear your thoughts. But I know that they had a posting for a person to administer the funds. And that's crazy. They're going to spend money to pay someone to do what they should know and what they do know. The Board of Trustees knows what areas are most challenged, and they can read what the American Rescue Plan funds are.
They should go right to the people, right? That's the thing is this money here, this is our money already, right? This is money that the federal government taken from what they already collected from us and giving it back to the local municipalities. So that's already, and
yes, thank you.
and it's I think it's, we have to keep an eye on what's happening and make sure it doesn't get eaten up, right? For the township, I mean, I still want to know what money they put out in support of the communities in most need during COVID. What did they do to help keep people housed? What did they do to help make sure people had access to testing? What did the township government dole out of their pockets to do that? Because they're getting a whole lot of money in order to support and, as a way to replenish funds, right? And I don't know what they put out yet. So I want to know.
That's right. I have to, because I bet there's a bunch of township people like they're really getting their ear up now, screaming. Historically, and the first face-to-face conversation I ever had with Brenda Stumbo, towards the end of it, she kept talking about, they use our numbers and take the money. And what she meant by that is historically, and this is what I'm convinced of also in talking to really thoughtful people, just historically in Washtenaw County, using those numbers and that data from the most challenged areas, that translates into federal and state dollars into Washtenaw County coffers, and not necessarily going back to Ypsilanti Township. There's just a strong feeling, and in the data that I've seen showed that. Now the barrier busters was an exception, I think, in that it was 42% of the people that received that social service from the county through barrier busters were from Ypsi Township. But that's just like one data point that I know from last year. But usually so much, that's when you think about a county receiving funding, and then what you're pointing out, things not being addressed at Ypsi Township. It's I think the answer is Ypsi Township it's not been on their map consciousness. They don't address and what they did have. No, they weren't spending. But I do think we traditionally do get shorted.
Well,
in terms of dollars.
Well, and I'm not going to disagree with that, because I'm going to, I know that 48196, 48198, right, zip codes, have a lot to take,
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We got to think like
right?
that.
Some tasks. But, this money should also then go in support, right? And so we need to keep an eye on it and make sure that it doesn't just get swallowed up in projects that don't do the community any good, right? And I think that they and folks, there should be some participation with the community as well to help direct those dollars, because this is one-time funds, right? This is a lot of, this is a big inflow of money, which it's like, woo, right? We don't get these inflows of money like this, but it's not, so you only can do certain things with it to make an impact, right? Because it's not coming every year, right? You want to make sure it's going in places and in ways that, can really impact and be able to get to do things that people say, oh, we can't do because we don't have the funds, or now we have some funds. So what can we do?
Correct. I'm gonna go about. How about we go about 10 more minutes, because we had the technical problems earlier. But with the American Rescue Plan and this money, it's exactly what you said. We need to get people on the ground in these areas where it's most needed, informing that discussion on how to distribute the funds. And I'm really excited. Tomorrow, I'm going to be at Timberlands, is a mobile home park on East Michigan Avenue in Ypsilanti Township. Gonna do some organizing, and it's kind of a prototype we're going to do in different other areas around Ypsi Township. Timberlands Rescue Plan. It's an individual, small community mobile home park. Talk to people as they're coming home tomorrow on Monday. Ask, how do they think that $9.4 million needs to be spent around here, and then invite them to an in-place meeting this Saturday. And I'll be talking about all the voting, the millages on April 3rd, how they can, on August 3rd, how they can vote now, how they need to be engaged. They're part of Precinct 5, had a real low turnout, incredible opportunity. And this is what's so frustrating about Ypsi Township not being present, besides the disgusting part of it being COVID and the need that was being addressed, the opportunity cost. Like I'm doing the outreach in Timberlands, that mobile home park next week. But on Saturday, in a nearby mobile home park, there's going to be a pop-up vaccination clinic. And those are examples of what went on last year, where there were opportunities for county and township government to engage the community, distributing aid and helping, and also learning and having, township government and county government be more reflective of the population. But yeah, you have to show up and be there, and it was such an incredible opportunity that was missed. And that's why it's so disgusting to see that it was being exploited as usual, in Ypsi Township. But yeah, we need that. We're going to be in Sugarbrook. We'll be in West Willow, of course, but as much as we can to get people engaged and to affect this August 3rd election, but direct these American Rescue Plan funds. And I'm not going to lie, I had lost my train of thought. What I wanted to put in, let me close 30 seconds. I'm gonna be quiet. I want to give a shout out because you were pointing out, I was early in our conversation when we were just with the Ypsi Township, Ypsi City thing. I wanted to give a shout out to Gail Summerhill and Ypsi Can I Share, because when people, and I'm going to post them along with that Greener Y-Town email there, but I really want to promote Ypsi Can I Share, because from the origin, understanding that Ypsi is Ypsi City, Ypsi Township, Pittsfield Township, the East part, and our brothers and sisters and everything in between in Superior Township. That's Ypsi, and Gail Summerhill and Ypsi Can I Share has been centered on that and promoting that ever since they began. So, okay, let me be quiet. Go ahead, Ms. Simmons.
No, please go ahead. Lift up Ypsi Can I Share. Yeah, so we're gonna be sharing some information on their page too. I'm trying to remember now what I was about to say. You were saying some. No. But yes, but it's great. I'm glad you're doing that, going out, because it only takes a few hundred votes. When people say, these are the kind of elections when people are like, my vote doesn't count. These are the kind of elections where it really can, because it comes down to just hundreds of votes a lot of times, right? And
yes,
as you're talking about in each of these precincts that have had, it just takes a few 10 extra in each of these precincts, right? 10 extra votes in each of these precincts, and that could totally change everything. So it's
Do you know
great.
how much
And
Justin Hodge won by? Do you know? Because Justin Hodge was such a slim. To me, I'm a big supporter. Thank God we got him in. But just imagine the difference. Karen Lovejoy Rose, a nice woman, but it would have been different having her instead of Justin Hodge in that seat. And he's fighting for changing that. And that was just a slim margin of votes that got by with his hard work. So
yeah. So
it just takes a few.
So anyway, it just takes a few. So we'll see what Ypsi Township comes back with. We of course are watching too, just in terms of what's happening in the city. We don't have a vote, but on August 17th, our city council will be considering a resolution to rescind the 3 police officers that they had previously approved. So it's a great opportunity. And really that only has come out of organizing by, folks like Amber Fellows, and it's just been amazing to see the energizing happening around this issue. But really for us, I think, especially as we're surrounded by other communities that at least get to vote on these kind of, it really feels like, well, why not us? Like, why didn't we get a chance to have a voice in this? And everybody else around us is, right? Why, so anyway, so we'll be watching and to see what happens there. And also the other thing I wanted to say, this is going way back, and I know we're going to be wrapping up soon, but when you were talking about the lawyer, we also know in the city of Ypsilanti how important people, the lawyers have such an, they play such a pivotal role because they really set a lot of tone in terms of what is possible. And a lot of times the elected officials really look to the lawyers, right? And
Yes.
so
This
what
was
the lawyers
scary.
say, and they're not elected, of course, right? And so we know that there's a lot of things that the lawyer here in the city won't let get up the light of day, right? And how that
It's a great
impacts
point.
then what kind of policies that we can even pursue and try to enact. And also what we will be willing to go to bat for, to go to bat with the state and things of that sort. So, the lawyers do have a really powerful role in city government. And we see it here. And so you're lifting up is that it's also something to look at in a township. But these are the kind of things, right, that I didn't know about until I started going to council meetings, right,
Right.
and seeing it in person and kind of and seeing it happen. So, that's
And
like
I
these are
think
the kind of like the details, right?
you make such a good point with the importance of the attorneys because it's so right. Like our existing cannabis policy in Ypsi Township is the Doug Winters cannabis plan. That's what I know from speaking to. That's how it came into fruition. And I think that people joke about 1,000 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean, a good start. We forget that there's lots of good attorneys, social justice oriented. Are there's prosecutors like Brian Mackey, and then there's prosecutors like Ellie Savage. There's I found with especially in our health department and social services, there's a lot of people that they got law degrees that just the way law was practiced, or just they weren't into personal interest for whatever reason or not. They didn't use that law degree in the law field. It was in social services more, or in the law field advocating. So getting the right kind of attorneys with that social justice progressive mindset, or that are at least not exploitive. Looking at them, at least that, at least not sticking the tech.
Like, let's start at baby steps.
Yeah,
Goodness
baby steps.
gracious.
Baby steps. Yeah. So yeah. Hey, Pittsfield Township, Superior Township. I didn't get a chance, but I understand like Pittsfield has a police millage up again, and one was defeated before. They're trying to sneak one in again in August, right? They're going on right now, right? So.
Well, the Pittsfield Township one is coming up in November.
Okay.
And so it's going to be on the November ballot. Yes, it was voted down. So they've made some slight changes to it. One of which was that they brought it down a mil. So they were trying to make it go from, let's say, like 1.59 or something to 3 point something. And now they brought it back down to 2. So they brought it down. So they brought it down a mil to raise a little less money. And, they're talking a lot about the, technology and, gear for the police, which, I mean, I know I actually, EMU actually was just hosting some interviews for their police chief this past week, which is interesting. And so the Pittsfield Township Police Chief, Matthew Harshberger, who's currently the police chief there, is interviewing for this position at EMU. He also was the Ypsilanti police chief, our current police chief, Tony DeGusti. So he's working his way around the area, but he talked a lot about what they're looking to do, and with these body cameras that are like in the suits or something that turn on when they run, or different things. And I'm like, well, tell the difference between if they're playing basketball with kids or if they're running after somebody. Anyway, because community policing is all about with the youth and all this stuff. I just think about
culture is so much of everything.
I'm constantly thinking about just like constant surveillance. But anyway, that aside, so that's what they're doing. So that will be coming up in November. And so we'll have to talk about that more as for another vote, and what kind of, interaction with the community, the Pittsfield Township official.
I'm gonna I have a parting shot, and then not shot, excuse me, gotta change that line. I have some parting thoughts, parting offering, and then I'll give it to you, and then we'll close out. On those millage proposals, one thing that irritated me in the language, it says in the Ypsi Township, if you go to the page for the millage proposals, it says, as we all know, taxes are not the solution and can negatively impact homeowners and business owners. So that's their reasoning for keeping the millage funding at what they're saying is the current level. And it just struck me because I think, I progressive, identify as a democratic socialist. We need higher taxes on higher income earners, I think. But I don't, for Ypsi Township, that language, I think people don't have a problem with taxes per se. They have a problem with wasteful taxes and their tax dollars not being spent in the correct way, or to a law firm for $1.5 million a year unnecessarily, when you could pay a great attorney $300,000 or something, which would be too high. But anyway, so that's it. So, efficient use of tax dollars and not taxes inherently are being a problem. But those are my thoughts. It's on you, Desiree.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I was just like, when you said that, of course, my mind went to the, Jeff Bezos, basically it's like, yeah, because y'all don't tax me, look what I get to do.
Go to the moon, or try to.
Whatever he was doing.
Yeah, outer space, man.
But yeah, no, it is, it is always hard, right? Because sometimes it's like the conversation is not about taxes, about how it's used, and it's about what are the opportunities and ways that we have to give voice to how our shared resources are used and spent, and that we want to have, be more involved. And what does that look like, and how we do that, right? I think for these American Rescue Plan dollars, I'm like, wouldn't it be great if we did some participatory budgeting with that money as a practice and a process? Because these funds are extra, right? They're not, they're new, like they're not within our operating budget. So, what does that look like to have some process? So
in a post George Floyd coming out of COVID world.
Yeah, and we need to keep our eyes on, what have been the struggles that have been going on for, generations, and we need to stop accepting it. So what does that look like? And now we know with the pandemic, resources are flowing in ways that they haven't before. And so we just need to make sure that attention and getting those resources for us and not letting them disappear as a way, in ways that actually disappear us. So
what a fitting, and we won't be disappeared. And you and I, let's come back next week, 10 o'clock right here. Okay.
Listen, I'll be on vacation, Alex. Come on.
Trying to be slick.
I know. That's what happened today. But I'm always happy to talk with you and to connect with the folks. So thanks for those who are watching.
Yes, thank you.
We hope to make these more regular. Yeah.
Somebody write in the comments, tell me who should, or somebody reach out, who's going to join me. There's no other Desiree, but Thank you, Desiree. I'll see you.
Thanks, y'all.
Enjoy your vacation.
Bye.
Bye-bye.